I definitely want to go ahead and get started because we know that we'll be sending this out on the replay and we don't want anyone to miss anything. All right. So I do want to say welcome everyone, and to those of you who are seeing this on the replay, especially if you got caught by the storm. Thank you so much for being here today. And those of you who are catching the replay, we appreciate that as well. All right. So my name is Dr. Twanna Carter, Dr. T for short, and executive coach. And I'm also a certified resilience coach and a former United States Army officer. Boy, would I have some stories to tell y'all if there was time, right? But now I specialize in working with Black women executives who are carrying a lot, you know, big roles, high expectations, constant pressure, and often without feeling like they have the space to actually breathe. The work that I do centers on helping Black women leaders increase visibility, secure bigger bonuses, and make confident decisions while also creating that space to actually enjoy the life that they're building. Because I truly believe this: you should never have to choose between your career or having or enjoying your life. Many of the women that I support are high performing, deeply capable, incredibly driven, but they're also exhausted. Like the old meme you probably heard your grandmothers or your aunties say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I often get that from my clients. I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Right. So, these women have been operating in survival mode for way too long. So my work blends leadership strategy, resilience, science, and stress performance so that women can lead powerfully without sacrificing their peace. Now, today I'm excited because I love it when women work together. And so I'm excited because this workshop is about exactly that: learning how to stay grounded, present, and intentional, even when life doesn't slow down. And I'm honored because I am co hosting this with none other than Ms. London Reed. So, got a lot of folks popping in. I'm going to take that one out. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm so honored. So London and I met about 3 or 4 months ago, and I'm honored to co-lead with her, co-lead this experience with her because she is someone whose work beautifully complements mine. And I love it that there's no competition because we're in this together to help, right? So again, my co-host is the collaborator for today's workshop, and she is London Reed. London is a transformational life and wellness coach. She's a speaker and founder of Her Law of Growth. Her work is deeply rooted in helping women slow down, reconnect with themselves, and move out of survival mode into lives that feel more grounded, intentional, and aligned. She supports women who are overwhelmed, burned out, and constantly feeling like they're trying to hold everything together, often at the expense of themselves. Much of what London teaches is grounded in mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and the nervous system regulation, especially during high stress seasons like transitions, uncertainty, and especially during holidays or just the stressful time of trying to start this new year off right. Right. So, what I love about London's approach is that the tools she guides you through are experiential and they're evidence based. They're not about fixing you or pushing you harder, but they're about helping your mind and your body feel safe enough to slow down, reset, and regain clarity in the middle of life. So, today we'll be supporting you from both angles: the science of stress and the practice of coming home to yourself. London will be guiding you through techniques you can use immediately at work, at home, and in those everyday moments when things start feeling like they're getting overwhelming. So this workshop is designed to meet you exactly where you are and give you the tools that you can actually use today, not just someday around the corner. So now that you know who we are, how we'll be supporting you, let's begin. Zoom be on this business, y'all. I'll say so much. Okay, so Elizabeth is from Columbus. All right, thanks for joining us. Thanks. So I'll shift this over to London.
Thank you, Twanna.
You're welcome.
All right. So, as Twanna said, we are going to be talking about emotional intelligence. And one of the things that I love to talk about is emotional resilience, which is coming home to yourself during the moments of overwhelm. So, just finding that peace in the chaos, in essence. So, let's see. Resilience. Resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness, and then the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, elasticity. So here is the sober truth. We
So,
cannot heal
I'm
overwhelm.
sorry, London.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a second. Let me be sure it's not me. I'm not seeing your slides. Is anyone, is it just me or can you see
Give
her
me
slides, Elizabeth?
a thumbs up if you can.
Yeah,
No, I cannot. So let's stop sharing. Because it says I'm sharing. So let me stop.
yeah. It said
You
double
know,
click, but then I didn't see anything.
yeah, just forgive me because right now my internet is going in and out.
Ah,
Yeah, it's a little ghetto, but we'll work it out.
well,
Let's do it
it's
again.
it's that's life. We're here by stressors, so now you get to see.
Okay, real life experience. It still looks black though, right?
Yeah, it's still black. Um,
Yeah. Let me try an alternative. Let me close this. Start there.
Now, you know, I
And let
was
me
a
just.
prior engineer in United States Army, so we can jerry rig stuff. Let me know if we got to do that today. I'm all up for it. I got the slides up. You would just tell me
Right? Which one to go to? Let's just see if we
exactly. Hey,
one more again. And then we
oh,
might just have to go there.
okay, all right.
So let's see.
Got to be ingenuitive.
It's so funny because I was having issues sharing my screen like earlier this week.
Uh,
And I was using Microsoft Edge. And I'm like, well, maybe Edge ain't that great. Let's see. There we go. I see
Here
it.
it
Can you
is.
see it?
Yes, there we go. Okay, yes. All right.
All right. So now let me just put it the way I can actually see it. And let's go down to. So this is what I was reading, guys. Emotional resilience, coming home to yourself in moments of overwhelm. And then resilience, the capacity to recover from difficulties and toughness, and the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape or elasticity. So now let's talk about the soul truth. And you can still see my screen, right? Awesome. All right. So the sober truth, we cannot heal overwhelm by thinking our way out of it. The antidote to overwhelm is action, grounded, intentional action that brings us back into the present moment where peace actually lives. So one of the most common triggers for anxiety, stress, all of the things is getting lost in our thoughts about the future, the past. And when we project into the future, we're often worrying about what might happen, and we experience moments like fear, anxiety, and then conversely, when we dwell on the past, we may feel regret, we may feel guilt or shame. And this mental state of worry and regret prevents us from being present in the moment. And it robs us, honestly, from the opportunity to be our best creative selves and achieve that sense of inner peace that we're looking for. So, with these mindfulness practices, it can really help us stay grounded in the present moment and help us cultivate a sense of clarity and creativity when planning for our future. So we have to learn how to distinguish between planning, right? There's planning and then there's strategizing. But we have to distinguish the difference between those two when we're planning and strategizing with fear and anxiety versus doing it with a clear and present mindset. So normally during the coaching sessions, I guide my clients on how to look to the future while also letting go of that worry, letting go of that fear, letting go of that regret, and instead focus on the task at hand with that clear and open mindset. And so, in order to facilitate this, what I'm going to be doing is sharing some practical tools and techniques that can help you stay present in the moment and then also avoid getting lost in those anxious thoughts. So, let's go ahead to the first tool, which I really love, and it's called the five senses check in. And we do the five senses check in by invoking the five senses so that you can stop the obsessive thinking and then stop the racing thoughts. So you can't focus on your obsessive thoughts about the future and replay the past while also simultaneously paying attention to what you see, what you hear, what you taste, smell, and touch. Your nervous system just cannot do all of that at the same time. So, what I'd like for you guys to do is we're going to start with our eyes open, right? First, just invoking that sense of sight. So, just take a gentle look around whatever space you're in right now. And then just notice the lights, the shadows. Don't overanalyze anything, just observe. That's it, that's all. And then now, what I want you to do is choose one color. My favorite color is blue, so that's usually what I go with. But it could be green or red. And just quietly count how many objects you can see in a room that are that one color. And when you're ready, gently close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, invoking a sense of smell. Notice if there's any scent in the air, even if it's subtle. And still with your eyes closed, bring your attention to the sound. Notice the sounds that's coming from inside of the room you're in. And then tune into whatever sounds are coming from outside of the room. And next, bring your awareness to the sense of taste. Gently run your tongue alongside your teeth and swallow, noticing any sensations. And finally, touch. So notice the way the air feels on your face, the weight of your body in your chair or on your bed, wherever you're sitting, the way your clothing rests against your skin. Bring your attention to your breath, how on the inhale through your nose, notice how the air feels cool. And on the exhale, notice how it feels warm. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And just take a moment to notice that little small shift. There's a little more stillness. There's a little more space. A sense of being centered right here, right now. And so if you can, while I open up this chat, what I'd like for you to do is just answer this one question. Did you worry about the future or were you replaying the past? Yes or no? Twanna says nope. What about you, Willard or Elizabeth? And that's the power of this tool. Nope, Elizabeth says no. And that's the power of the tool. So now imagine where you could use this in your real life, like in a moment where there's just so much chaos going on, how you could just stop and pause in this moment and just focus on your five senses to bring you back present. into that moment. So next we're going to do something called the compound. And this is another one of my favorites because my daughter did this with one of her classmates, which I thought was pretty cool. So the calm palm is just a simple anchoring technique, and it helps bring you out of your head and back into your body in that moment. So when that stress is rising, especially during like those high season moments, like right now, we just got out of the holidays. So holidays was pretty stressful, right? And our thoughts are racing, our nervous system can slip right into that fight or flight without us really even realizing it in that moment. So how the compound works is by giving your brain something neutral and grounding to focus on. And that helps signal your body to safety. So this tool can be used anytime that you feel overwhelmed, whether you're anxious, if you're overstimulated, if you feel mentally stuck. It's really also helpful if you're feeling rushed, right? Or emotionally flooded or having trouble just kind of settling your mind. So to practice the compound, what I want you to do is take your non-dominant hand and hold it right out in front of you. And just gently notice like the details of your hands, the lines, the textures, just everything, all of the things on your hands. Don't worry about analyzing it, just observe. Now take your dominant hand and use your index finger to slowly trace up on the outside of your thumb as you breathe in and count silently. So we're going to do it together. We're going to go 1, in, exhale 2, going down, and we're going to keep going. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so as you do that, you allow your attention to stay on the movement and you're counting and you're taking your deep breaths. So if your mind wanders, you'll just bring it back. And I mean, honestly, if you're feeling the sensations on your hand, that'll bring you back to the present moment too. So you can use this tool literally anywhere, whether it's in the middle of a busy day, if you're just sitting at your desk and you're stressed out for whatever reason, you just take a quick moment. It takes a couple of seconds where you're just counting and bringing yourself back to the present moment. And what this does, it interrupts the anxious thought patterns and it brings your nervous system back into the present moment. And that's where the calm and the clarity lives. So that's just bringing again the peace on purpose. So let's go ahead to tool 3. Tool 3 is meditating. So I just want to start by acknowledging that many people, when they hear the word meditation, and I know for me too, especially when I first started, it might be a little intimidating or even frustrating because it's like, I can't meditate. I'm bad at meditating. And there's no such thing as being bad at meditating. Or my mind won't stop, or this is just not it for me. You can meditate in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So, one of the biggest misconceptions, though, about meditation is that your thoughts are supposed to stop. And that isn't the goal. Thoughts are always going to come. Meditation is not about having a quiet mind. It's about learning how to notice your thoughts without letting them consume you, right? So I like to think of meditation as a kind of brain training. So we're going to the mind gym in that moment. So just like you're going to the gym to strengthen your body, meditation strengthens your ability to focus. It's going to help you regulate that stress and respond rather than react. So excuse me, there are many different ways that you can meditate. And so today, a brain is going to think we have 50,000, 90,000 thoughts a day. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So there are many different ways to meditate. And today I want to introduce a few simple options that you can use, whatever works for you. You can find that works for you. One technique that I use is called I Feel Relaxed Now. And so this involves just gently moving through the acupressure points in your finger, and you're just repeating this phrase. It's subtle, it's grounding, and it can be done anywhere, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed or just kind of overstimulated. Another option that I use, especially when my mind is racing, is me just on the inhale, I'm saying here, and on the exhale, I'm silently saying now. So it's just like I'm sitting there with my eyes closed, and I'm like, here, now, but I'm doing it quietly in my head. And when those thoughts come in, and they will, you just simply notice them without any judgment and just gently bring yourself back to your breath work and the here on the inhale and the now on the exhale. You can also try like a structured breath pattern. So inhale for 3 counts, hold for 3, exhale for 3. And that rhythm, it helps calm the nervous system, especially helpful when you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed. And if sitting isn't comfortable for you, that's okay too. You don't have to sit quietly. You could walk around and meditate. There's a nice alternative. I do this with my kids. Sometimes it turns into a competition where we're doing like a color walk. So something simple, similar to what we did earlier when we were looking around and we were picking colors. So me and my daughter will go for a walk. I'm like, let's do a color walk. We did it over the summer. And we just pick one color, a color that you don't normally see, and you just look around and you find as many colors as you can on that walk. And well, the walk is only supposed to be 20 minutes, but we end up walking for an hour. So it's really like at your leisure, whatever it is that you want to do. It's really fun. But that's another alternative. So I just invite you to be really gentle with yourself, explore what feels supportive, and just know that these tools are here to serve you, especially during those moments when it's loud, when it's busy, when it's overstimulating, when you just need a moment to just find that peace and that calmness. Another technique that I love to use is journaling. So this is tool number 4. So we've explored tools that help calm the body, that quiets the mind. And so this tool, journaling here, is one of the simplest tools that you can use in a really powerful way because it helps you release overwhelm. And unlike reflective writing, journaling is not about finding the answers or or solving those problems. It's just about giving your thoughts and your emotions a safe space to go. So that way they're just not like stuck in your body. And a lot of us carry that stress without us even realizing it because we have all of these thoughts in our head and we're not letting it go. And so we're moving on from one thing to the next, and we're holding on to our worries, we're holding on to our frustrations, we're holding on to these emotions, any unfinished thoughts, and we're holding on to them all day long. But with journaling, it lets us just kind of gently unload, or not gently, depending on how you're writing in that moment. But either way, you're unloading that mental and emotional weight, and you get to unload it onto a paper. Another thing I like about loading to journaling too is that you can always just kind of reflect that moment. So it's also like a teachable moment. So when you have some in this space, and then what could I do
So,
differently to do it?
London, could you repeat that whole sentence over? Because you dropped out for about 5 or 6 words.
5 or 6 words. Okay. So was it the part about just kind of going back and reflecting on whatever it was? So what I love about the journaling is that it gives you a moment to reflect on where you were at in that moment. It's like a teachable moment for you where you could just kind of go back and say, where was I? How was I feeling? And then potentially, what could I do differently so I'm not holding on to that space anymore? Then, if you're not sure where to begin, you can ask yourself some simple prompts like, right now, what I'm holding is, and just set a timer for 5 minutes and just going. Or what feels heavy for me today is, and again, just keep going. And when the timer ends, you close your notebook, and that's it. So that's the value of journaling. It's a release, not the review, but just a release. Another thing about journaling too, you notice after you journal and you get all of those thoughts out of your head, you might even feel lighter. Your breath might even feel a little bit deeper. Your mind feels quieter. It's just another way that you can regulate your nervous system. And so now reflective writing, which is tool number 5. So we have journaling, what helps you release, right? What you're holding on to emotionally. And then reflective writing is a little different from journaling, but it's not just about venting or unloading those emotions. It's about slowing down long enough to understand what's actually going on underneath all of that overwhelm. So that way you can respond with intention instead of reacting from stress. So During those like heavy times, those heavy emotional times, reflective writing will help you pause for a second and just take a look at what's going on. So, one of the core practices that we work on inside of this program called the Clarity Catalyst is where we ask ourselves these deep reflective questions. And you could just choose one that feels more aligned with you, whether it's just feeling like you have feelings that's unresolved, whether it's some feelings of confusion, or whether it's just like feeling heavy. And instead of letting it loop in your head, you bring it to the page and you just guide yourself through a series of questions. And those questions are here, like, what is the issue? What is it that I don't understand yet? What is it I'm feeling right now in this moment? What is it that I don't see yet? What voice is speaking, inner critic or the voice of wisdom? And then what do I need to do next? Even if it's something really small. And then as you write, there's no need to kind of rush or just force your answers. Just let yourself respond honestly. And it's usually the first thing that pops into your mind. And that's where your clarity is going to come in. As you're writing all of this stuff down and you're getting it out and you're just answering it honestly, that's where most of your clarity is going to come. And many people find that when they use this practice and they're using this consistently, even if it's just for a few moments, they feel less mentally scattered and more grounded in the decisions that they're making in that moment. It's that kind of clarity, right? That carries over into your relationships, into your work, and then also, most importantly, how you're showing up for yourself in that moment. So you could think of reflective writing as sitting down with your thoughts instead of wrestling with them. You just get a moment to sit and notice. So the next tool is asking yourself three powerful questions when you can't fall back to sleep. So this one is fun. So it's like 2 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Your body is exhausted, but your mind is not, right? It's wide awake. It's replaying conversations. It's imagining a worst case scenario or worrying about whatever happened that hasn't even happened yet, but you're just focused on what happened in that or what could happen in that moment. And in those moments, your nervous system is slipped into that fight or flight mode. Even when you're physically safe, it's still in fight or flight. So this is not the time, obviously, to problem solve. It's time to reassure your body, right? So when you wake up feeling anxious, you ask yourself these three simple questions. Is what I'm worried about right now 100% definitely going to happen? Maybe not. Not possibly, definitely. Probably not, right? In this exact moment, am I safe and okay? Right now, you're in this bed. Are you safe in this moment, right here, right now? Most likely. Is there anything I need to do right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. Most of the time, the answer to that third question is no. There's nothing that you can do right now in this moment. And when your body hears that it's safe and that it doesn't need to act, that's when your body starts to relax and settle. So if your mind is still active, you hear these questions with a calming breath, right? Or you could do your calm palm, or you could do the five senses check-in just to kind of help your nervous system fully reset. And this tool right here will help shift you out of survival mode and back into rest without forcing sleep or fighting your thoughts. I get something, I'm sure it's really a thing, RLS, restless leg syndrome. My legs are like, they can't sit still. They're just constantly going. And I'm like, what's going on? And I have to literally, in that moment, take some deep breaths or even like lay on the floor and just ground myself and do the calm and ask these questions like, am I safe right now? Is this okay? And 9 times out of 10, right after doing those thoughts, going through those processes and asking myself those questions, I'm feeling grounded and then I can finally get back to sleep. I mean, it'd probably be about 3 o'clock in the morning, but eventually it calms down. And that's the bonus part there. I see that I'm going in and out. Let me know if you can still hear me.
So no, you're fine. It's not your
Oh,
sound's not picking up. It's not picking up on the sound. So you're good.
okay. Perfect. Let's go on to the next tool. Take a break. So take a moment to get present in your body. So the next tool is one of the simplest and often the most overlooked, which is just literally taking a break. Not a scrolling break, not a productivity break, but a nervous system break. So instead of moving on from one thing to the next without really finally pausing, which can over time put your body in that low level state of stress, you take a moment and you just pause. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, you just pause and just come back into your body. So I talked about this earlier, and a simple way that you could do this is like a color walk. So step outside if you can, go on a walk or walk through your hallway, walk through your home, walk through your workspace, and just choose one color, any color, and just slowly walk and look around and find whatever objects are that color. But just do it just for that moment with no other goal other than just noticing in that moment. And as you're walking, bring awareness to your body. Notice your feet touching the ground. Notice your breath moving in and out. Notice the air on your skin. And when your mind starts drifting, just gently bring it back to whatever it is that you see and how your body is feeling in that moment. And what that practice does, it pulls you out of your head and back into the present moment where the calm is. It helps you reset your nervous system, even if it's like in the middle of the day. And I know a lot of us toward the end of the day, we're crashing, ready to go. It's the end of the day. We're ready to get out of work. Just take a walk, take a break. Don't go on your phone, just break. So when you practice this consistently, you have these small pauses. You have these moments where you can bring yourself back into your body. You'll feel a big difference. And the final tool that I'm going to share with you is called worry time. So set your timer. So right now I have here 8 p.m., but right now, 17:41. So it's 5:41, my time, Eastern time. What time is it for you, Twanna?
It is 3:41
Okay.
on Arizona time because it's mountain time because we don't do the spring forward and fall back stuff.
Lucky y'all. Wherever you are at in the world, whatever time it is right now, whatever time you are seeing this, I call it worry time. So we're going to set our timers for that time tomorrow. So I know when I say this and when I said it in a class, they looked at me like I was crazy. Like, girl, what are you talking about? Worry time? Like, you want me to hold all of that in until tomorrow? But yeah, seriously. So here's the challenge. I want you to set your alarm for whatever time it is today for tomorrow. And so it's 5:42, 3:42 over there. So let's say 4 o'clock, right? We've set our time for 4 o'clock tomorrow. And between now and then, you will not worry about anything at all. So before you panic, I'm not saying that the worries are going to disappear. I'm just saying you don't have to deal with them right now. You can wait until later. So anytime a worry pops up into your mind between today and tomorrow, before that time, you are going to mentally place it in the back of your mental Rolodex and tell yourself, I will deal with it tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And then when your alarm goes off at 4 o'clock tomorrow, you're going to give yourself just 15 minutes to worry about everything that you put into your mental Rolodex, whatever it is. And that's where it's going to get hilarious. Because are you really going to sit there and worry about it for 15 minutes? I don't know. But you'll find out tomorrow if you set your worry time. So many of the things that felt like they were really urgent and that you like really had to take care of right now, and now it's going to lose its power, and it's really going to lose its power over you, which is even more important. So you'll give it a container instead of letting it run your day, instead of letting it run you, and that's the point of the tool. So worry feels overwhelming when it's constant and uncontained. And when you give it that boundary, your nervous system starts to relax because it knows I don't have to deal with it right now. I'm going to deal with it tomorrow. So I'm going to challenge you to set your alarm right now. I said 4 o'clock for 4 o'clock tomorrow, right? And just try it just one time. And you'll be surprised how much lighter your day feels when you no longer have to worry or hold on to whatever it is that's stressing you throughout your day. So We are going to turn it over to Dr. Carter. Hold on. There we go.
You come off mute so you can hear me because I have done workshops on mute starting off for the first 5, 10 minutes. Not infallible. I admit my mistakes. So, we're going to be talking about the science of stress and anxiety, right? So, you see there it says eustress versus distress, because at the end of the day, not all stress is actually bad. Next slide, please. So when the Chinese denote stress, that character that says stress actually is two different symbols. One of those symbols is a symbol for danger, and one of those symbols is a symbol for opportunity, right? So they both sit together, but one says danger and one says opportunity, because I think that the Chinese are onto something. All right. So next slide, please. So what are they on to? Stress. Most of the time when people say, I'm stressed, I've got this exam coming up. There's a snowstorm coming. There's an ice storm coming. We say I'm stressed. And when we say that, most of us don't realize that stress has been shortened from the word distress. Somewhere in the late 50s, early 60s, we stopped saying distress and we just dropped it and said stress. And because we say stress, and typically we look at stress as something not all the time bad, but something sometimes it's a change in the environment and we typically don't like it. Most of us forget about eustress. So eustress is good stress, right? So I'm a science major and I major in zoology and I'm minored in chemistry. So some of y'all may recall way back when they made you look at the cells and having to, construct a cell wall or a cell membrane and all that. You may have heard the term eukaryote, right? So the that prefix "eu" it just means true or good. So when we look at the word eustress, the translation is literally good stress. It is short-term stress. Like for this presentation, right? If I was nervous about, showing up in front of people because I have social anxiety, that means I'm gonna make sure I pronounce my words and you got this, and I go through my calming routine. You've done this before, you've spoken in front of people, and I practice things. That's eustress. It's short term. It makes you perform better. It makes you do more preparation if it's needed. It's a kind of the butterflies of the tummy for some folks that are athletes, which I am not, but I know plenty of people that are. My daughter runs, the marathon. That excitement, even when you're there, and the last one she ran was over in Scottsdale, and it was women only, a few males for guys. You could feel the palpable stress when I was there, but it was eustress. People are like, I got to make this through. It's me and, the girls around me. So that's actually good stress. It can motivate you. It can give you an edge so that you perform well. But most of us, when we say stress, we don't know eustress because we don't necessarily talk that much about it. All right. Next slide, please. Now, stress, short for distress, is long-term stress, and that's an issue, right? That is an issue because when we're in short-term stress, you go, it gives you a little edge and you get it done. Like you got to get to the airport for your vacation. That's stressful, but it's kind of exciting because something great is coming on the other end. If, however, you get stranded like I have, you get stranded in another country at the airport because you were trying to get home, right? That can become long-term stress. I met someone in the airport that was there for 4 days. No luggage, no toothbrush, no clothes, no anything, just in the airport for 4 days. That can become long-term stress. And when that happens, there are mechanisms that kick off in our body that take over. Remember, we said eustress is kind of motivating. I'm going to practice a little harder. I'm going to run a little harder, those things. But stress long term is different. Next slide, please. with distress, we enter into the survival mode, right? In other words, our anxiety mechanism is triggered, and we often will enter into the survival mode. And that's a natural part of the body, which is why I love to do this, because some of us sometimes we feel there's something wrong with me. I must, this is me. I just thought I was crazy. I have social anxiety. I didn't know it at the time, never heard of it. So when I got sick because I had to go and speak in front of people, or I would feel ill or nauseated because I had to go to the grocery store or go to the mall, I literally thought there was something crazy. I was just crazy. I was like, nobody's caught me yet, but I know I'm crazy, right? But when we enter into that survival mode, our bodies can react to anxiety in 5 different ways. We call them the 5 F's of anxiety. So the first one, most of us know, that's the fight, right? Sometimes it's literal fight, right? But it's also being argumentative. It's also challenging people. It is also a lot of questioning, like, I don't believe what you're saying. So you start rapid firing, questioning people. It also can be anger, right? And think for a moment. I said we're long-term stress, right? We're interested into survival mode. What is one of the stereotypes we all have heard about Black women, especially in the workplace? Anybody want to drop it in the chat? One of those we hear about Black women, especially in the workplace. Let's see if someone can figure this one out. Angry Black woman. There you go. Well, guess what? The survival mode for the fight mode is anger. So rather than looking at Black women as angry and we have behavior issues, it's time for us to recognize what is happening. We're in survival mode. And being angry, the fight stage of anxiety, is one way to respond to the stress, right? And so there's also the flight. So this is me. I was avoid, avoid, avoid. I will go around the corner, around the street. I will drive the long way to avoid conflict, to avoid unpleasantness. So that's the flight part of anxiety. You avoid or you try to get away, you walk away, right? So that's just another way that we can respond to long-term stress, which triggers us to go into survival mode. And for us, the avoid piece, right? And it's important to note that one of these is not wrong and the other are right. This is just simply how your brain tells you to react. Your brain looks at the totality of the situation and says, argue to the death, be angry, or it says flight, run away, avoid. Not a right or wrong. It's just how your brain responds, depending on your experiences in your past and survival, because that's what you're trying to do, survive. Some people will freeze, right? We call that the deer caught in headlights. Trigger warning, which is why we had to change how we dealt with women who were raped. Because they used to ask, well, did you fight back? And if she said no, well, you must have enjoyed it. You must have been participatory. Well, no. We know now, the science says that freeze, it's just that you do nothing. You don't fight, you don't run, you don't talk back. Your brain looks at everything and says, just freeze, just like a deer caught in headlights. What it can also look like is some of us have had people like, why are you still working? There's people treat you wrong, they cut you out, they're not paying you right, and you're still there 5 years later, 10 years later. Freeze. In toxic workplaces, people will freeze. They know they need to leave, but they just can't get it in gear to go. Freeze. That's a freeze response to anxiety. All right. And the fawn, most of us have heard this one, or you may have seen older women do this. Fawn is where, so anxiety consumes a lot of energy, just a lot of energy. And so when we fawn, we do little things to release that energy. That's a response. And so you'll see women who've been battered that are running around, let me recook your dinner. Can I do this to you? Let me take your shoes. Let me do this. They're doing all these little things for the person that's abusing them. From the outside looking in, that doesn't make sense. But when you look at that's a fawn, that's the way she is trying to survive, is by doing things. And you will see this in work offices too. The people who are treated the worst are always trying to figure out how to make other people's lives in the office better. Fawn response to anxiety. This one, we pretty much know it when we see it, especially if you look at YouTube and the guy is down there and then his bride comes in, he just topples over and faints. Some people do faint. That's their survival mechanism. Their brain says, all right, this is overwhelming. Everything rushes in at one time and they get overwhelmed, they get flooded, and they just stop breathing and they faint, right? Not a right or wrong. It's just how your body responds to the distress, right? Next slide, please. So when we talk about, we've got all these different ways that you can respond to anxiety. Good to know that, right? But now we want to talk about, well, how do I relieve it? How do I relieve that? How do I keep myself from freezing? Or if I see I'm going in that direction, what can I do before I actually freeze and I'm standing there, right? As someone with social anxiety, this was hard for me because when I was an avoider, but the next one was freeze. And it normally happened when someone asked me a question and I would just stand there and look. I felt like I looked like I was stupid. I felt stupid and it bothered me because I would leave and just cry like I look like an idiot. Why? Because I couldn't speak. So sometimes freeze is not just a freezing in the body, it's a freezing of your voice, right? And it kicks back in and we start to talk about ourselves. We have these mindsets about ourselves. And that's why we're looking at self-imposed stress. Well, what is that? It's a negative mindset, and it's basically your inner chatter, your inner critic that goes in and it goes to town on you. So no one else is stressing you. It is your constant thoughts and that inner critical voice, right? And then when we go in on ourselves, we experience shame, we experience guilt, we feel incompetent, we feel like we're not capable of doing things. And some of us get depressed, and like I did, I would cry. So, one of the best things for anti anxiety is the scent of lavender. It is very good. You can smell it, you can drink lavender tea or that purple haze stuff from First Watch, that floats my boat too, right? But the chamomile tea or the bergamot, the lang lang, all of these things are helpful for fighting against anxiety and pulling you out of anxious brain so that you can flip back over to cognitive brain. And that's the neocortex. That's the big brain that is logical. It's like, this is really that bad. I mean, I know it sounds bad, but I think you can get through this. That's the voice you want to get to. And so that's the point of all of the tools that London has covered. And that's the point of smelling the lavender. One of the best things to do, especially if you're having issues sleeping at nighttime, is you can put some lavender oil in a carrier oil, the essence. I like to put mine in lotion and rub your feet in it. It is very, very relaxing. So if you have some of that nearby you, you can have that scent. It works wonders. Okay. Next slide, please. So now we're going to talk about some additional tools that really work when you're feeling anxious, because your body actually warns you. And that's why I say London and I complement each other so well. Her tools would teach you to start to be aware of how your body feels, because your body always gives you warning before it goes into anxiety. It always does if we listen to it, right? And so one of the things, if you feel it coming on, this is a yoga move and it's fairly simple, right? It's called single nostril breathing. It takes just a little bit of coordination, but if you like do a hang 10, a hang 5, whatever, like folks in Hawaii, and you put your hand right in front of your nose, near your nose, right? And it doesn't matter whether you start with your forefinger or your pinky first. I'm going to start with my pinky. So for me, that's covering my right nostril. Now I'm going to breathe in through the left nostril. Now I'm going to switch and close off that left nostril and exhale through the right side. I'm going to switch again. Inhale on the left side. Switch again. Exhale on the right. Switch. Inhale. Switch. Exhale. Now let's just do a couple together solidly. Right? And when you do this, you can have eyes open or eyes closed. Remember that anytime that you close your eyes, you are shutting out 80% of the sensory data that you get through your five senses, right? And when you do this, do it for at least 10 cycles. I have clients that tell me they do it for 20 because it sets them up for about an hour or two and they're calm. All right. The amount of time works for you, but try to do it at least 10 times. If you're in a pinch, you don't think you can get there, 5 times works for the moment. Okay. So tell me, drop in the comments when you did the single nostril breathing, what did you notice? All right. And I will say that I have a deviated septum. So sometimes it's a little bit challenging for me to breathe in and breathe out. It doesn't really matter. Just take your time when you're exhaling and going through it because it still works. So London said, I felt calmer, but this time I did it with my eyes closed and it really relaxes. Mine just automatically drift to close because I've done this so much and it really does feel relaxing. It actually does. You get in your office, you close that door, you do this 10 times. When you walk out, you kind of feel like a new person because it refocuses you, right? Next slide, please. So tool number 10 is a 3-2-1 technique. And I love this because it's great for refocusing. It's great for stopping the anxiety and pulling you out of anxiety mode, right? And it's fairly simple. The three is you take 3 deep breaths in and out. The 2 is take your arms, cross, and give yourself a hug, right? And the 1 is you can do this eyes open or eyes closed. I like to close my eyes. And we're going to just breathe for a minute. Now, if you really like the hold that you're giving yourself, you can also rub up and down your arms. It'll give you a little bit of oxytocin in there that makes it feel good. Oxytocin is a bonding hormone. That's the thing that makes it feel so good when we hug people, especially when we pick up kids and hug them. They're just lovable. That's oxytocin. So you can create your own for relaxation as you continue breathing for a minute. Okay, so we'll pause there. So tell me how this one hits you. How did this one feel? Just you feel like sharing, drop it in the comments. So London says, I was told to I give the best hug, so I felt it. Yeah. And you can actually with this one imagine for those of you that have great relationships with their grandmother, whether living or past. And I'll be honest, I do this. I just have these vivid memories of hugging my grandmothers. So it's really nice if you do this to let your mind wander to what that felt like when either a grandmother or a granddad held you, because the mind stores memories and pictures and it attaches emotions to the pictures and then stores them. So when you bring up the picture, you also bring up the emotions. You can just get flooded with that feel good emotion and it just feels good, right? It's nothing like a good hug, right? And so it's important to note that we've given you these tools, right? So your goal now is to pick out the ones that work for you and work up to over the next 2 months or so, practicing something 6 to 8 times a day. If it's breathing, practice breathing. If you like the single nostril breathing, practice that one. If the compound work for you, whichever tool you choose, you don't have to practice all of them 6 to 8 times a day, but choose one and practice it at different points in the day. Why? Some of us, we anxiety has set up a pattern. It's a pattern. It's a well-worn pattern. Some of us hear the dog bark, and if we're afraid of dogs, we go right into flight or fight mode. We go into anxiety mode. If we hear raised voices, and this is my thing, if I hear raised voices and it sounds like people are arguing, at one point I went right into survival mode. They could be laughing, have a good time. It didn't matter to me. I went straight to survival mode. By practicing the tools, the breathing and different things, you're now installing a different pattern so that when your body says, oh my gosh, you're anxious, rather than like, let me freeze or let me get ready to fight, now your brain goes to, that tool, that one felt good. The compound, this might be a good time to use it. Once you practice, work on practicing up to 6 to 8 times a day, when you feel anxious, your body will automatically direct you to a tool. And it's also important to know, as a disabled veteran, I have chronic pain. And so I use a lot of breathing to get through the pain. So the tools that we're teaching you also work for chronic pain, right? And I've rehearsed it so much that before I feel the pain, my brain tells me to breathe. It's like, why am I breathing? Then the pain hits. That's how the brain works. It is on your side if you give it the tools to use. And so we're talking about, peace on purpose, intentionally building peace. Using these tools allow you to build another habit, another pattern, and that is of practicing calm before you hit that fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or faint. All right. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn it back over to London for our prologue.
All right. So first of all, I hope you guys really enjoyed today's workshop. Really enjoyed it. And I always enjoy giving it. And so what I just like to say is that today wasn't about fixing you. It wasn't about asking you to do any more. Like Twanna said, we just want to do a couple of these tools that will just help calm you on purpose, because it's all about finding that peace on purpose. It's reminding you that peace is not dependent on life slowing down, because it won't. Life is never going to slow down, right? It's going to keep going. It's something though that you can practice and you can access even in the middle of like being full in your demanding seasons, right? So you've just experienced what it feels like to intentionally pause, how to regulate your nervous system, how to reconnect to the present moment. And then these tools, which is designed for real life, these are the moments when responsibilities don't stop, right? Deadlines don't move, and life keeps asking more of you. Peace on purpose doesn't mean your life is calm, because it's not going to be calm, especially if you have kids. I have 5 kids running around here literally right now. It's not calm. It's nothing calm about it, right? But you are anchored. And that's what's most important. You're anchored even when things feel really, really intense. So for some of you, today might have brought awareness to patterns that you're ready to shift, whether it's chronic stress, emotional exhaustion, or just kind of living in that constant reaction mode. And for others, it may have confirmed what you might already know. You don't want to keep pushing through life on empty. That's what's most important. You don't want to keep pushing through life on empty. So we are going to drop the next steps inside of the chat. So if you're feeling called to deepen this work, we are inviting you to schedule a one-on-one clarity call with either myself or Dr. Twanna Carter. And this is not a sales call. It's a grounded, supportive space where you can talk through whatever it is that you're navigating. You can ask questions and you can really explore what kind of support will feel most aligned with you right now. Okay. So we have 2 different programs here. We have the Executive Burnout Program, which Dr. Carter has dropped in the chat for us. And it is an 8-week private coaching engagement designed to help you reset, realign, and lead from a regulated space. And then we also have the Clarity Catalyst course, which is a mindfulness-based transformational journey focused on clarity, self-trust, and intentional living. And if you stayed for the workshop and if you were able to watch it to the end, which is really good, and this is for those who are on replay, You can schedule your one-on-one session within the next 72 hours and receive our workshop only credit of $200. And we have the coupon code here, which is anchored 777. That's what you would use. And before we close, I just want to leave you with this. You don't have to wait for life to slow down to choose peace. You don't have to do this alone. And peace isn't something that you earn, it's something that you practice intentionally. So thank you again for choosing today. We are honored to support you on purpose. And if you are ready, please feel free to join us. Thank you. You can also scan our QR codes here if you want to connect with us deeper. And we are excited and look forward to speaking to you all soon. Bye.